call to order the regular, I'm sorry, I'd like,
Public hearing?
first, yes. Before we get the public hearing started, I would like to announce that prior to this meeting, council met in an executive session to discuss a personnel matter and business matters. So with that, I will call to order the public hearing on ordinance 0-2601 zoning map and ordinance 0-26-02 conditional uses subdivision and land development zoning. Are there any members of the public that would like to address council on these matters tonight? Are there any online? Anybody online? I would like to note that we had written public comment from Jason Kozerski from Township, and this afternoon we also received written public comment, Mike, from
Dorothy Blair.
and
Dan Alters.
okay, and that is on at our desks for us to consider tonight as we discuss this as an action item during the regular meeting. Okay. Seeing no public comment, I'll adjourn the, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll take.
Second.
Okay, so moved. Okay, I will, with that, I'll open the regular meeting of the College Township Council for Thursday, February 19th, 2026. And would all those who are present and can please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item on the agenda tonight is public open discussion. So for any items not on this agenda, are there any members of the public that would like to speak to an item? None? Okay, seeing none. Our next agenda item is new agenda items. Are there any members of council that would like to add any new agenda items to the agenda this evening of diminished nature? Our next item is a change in the order of the meeting. We did this last month. We have a proclamation this evening in recognition of Lunar New Year. That is in the consent agenda. That is
CA3C.
You got it? Okay.
3A.
3A.
CA3A, proclamation P-26-02. Would a member of council like to pull that so that we can answer that?
Move to pull item CA3A from the consent agenda.
Take a second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. With that, I would like to offer the proclamation. This evening we have honored guests. We have Nalini Krishnakudi, who is a State College Borough Councilwoman, and Sharon Fong from Penn State University, and they are here as members of the Pan Apita community. And so after the proclamation, we'd invite you to come to the podium and share comments. This is the proclamation P-26-02, a proclamation of the Township of College Center County, Pennsylvania, recognizing Lunar New Year. Whereas Lunar New Year is a holiday of many traditions, ushering good fortune and strengthening ties that is celebrated by many members of the Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Apita communities who helped shape the foundation of College Township's historical, current, and future journeys. Whereas the holiday is predominantly celebrated by communities of Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, Tibetan, Mongolian, Singaporean, Malaysian, and Filipino descent, with a traditional focus on honoring ancestors and community bonds and celebrating hopes for the future. Whereas the Lunar New Year, also known as Spring Festival, is based on the lunar calendar, which includes a repeating 12-year cycle of animal signs and their assigned attributes. And whereas the Lunar New Year marks the transition from the Year of the Snake, ending on February 16, 2026, to the Year of the Horse, starting on February 17, 2026. The horse is the 7th of the 12 Chinese zodiac animal signs and represents energy, speed, freedom, and resilience. Whereas over 10,000 Asian Pacific Islander Desai Americans of PETA residents live, work, and lead in Center County communities, contributing to our economy and way of life, and enriching our social fabric with multiple languages, cultures, ideas, and religious beliefs. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the College Township Council does hereby proclaim February 17, 2026 as Lunar New Year in College Township, and encourages everyone to join in the spirit of celebration and commitment to family, prosperity, and mutual respect, and creating an inclusive environment of belonging for all our residents. This proclamation is authorized on this 19th day of February 26 by the College Township Council, Center County, Pennsylvania. If you would like to come to the podium.
Go first. Thank you very much.
And if you would introduce yourself and please share your home municipality.
Yes. Hello, my name is Sharon Fong. I'm so honored to be here, and thank you for inviting me to accept the Lunar New Year proclamation. I am actually living in the borough currently. My husband and I moved from Vermont to this area in 1997, so we have been in this community for 29 years, so I'm comfortable calling this community home. We have 3 children, all of whom have gone through the school system, K through 12. 2 have gone through Penn State. 1 is a junior this year, so I'm almost done. So College Township has about 5% of Asian identifying members. Each one of them has a unique story. Stories resonate to create understanding, and I wanted to take a few moments to tell you a little bit about my story. So I was born in Korea, post-Korean War. I was a street orphan, so I literally lived on the streets in cardboard boxes. I was caught and taken to an orphanage and adopted by a wonderful American family. At the age of 5, I became a resident of Ambler, Pennsylvania. We moved to Vermont, and there I met my husband at the University of Vermont. He grew up in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. He is a Chinese first-generation American, and he grew up in a small town called North Attleboro. We moved here into this area because Penn State recruited him to help launch World Campus. That was in 1997. And we were used to growing up in a small suburban town, just like this area here. Growing up, being Asian in a small American town comes with its own, I'm going to call it curriculum. So we both have experienced the common difficulties of growing up in a small town with these Asian bodies. When we decided to raise our children in this area, we looked at the school districts like many families do and found a location where we thought that they would best be supported. When we moved in the December of 1997, and we had to register my oldest daughter into kindergarten, it was a difficult time to register during that academic year in the middle of the academic session. It was a lot of confusion and exasperation from the district, and there were some comments that were difficult to swallow. At one point, it was stated to me that usually Penn State takes care of you people. My husband also being a director, had meetings. He was at the college buffet on Atherton Street in a suit, and as he was coming out, two very different, kind individuals thanked him for their meal, which was a kind gesture, but also laden with a lot of assumptions. So I give you these examples to highlight the importance of what we are doing today. As leaders of the community, as you set priorities and values for our community, the proclamation conveys a message to the Asian identifying individuals in your community that they are not just accepted and tolerated, but that they are celebrated and valued. It also conveys to the whole community that you value and recognize the diversity of your community, not just in composition, but also in cultural celebrations. So you are balancing the scale. In my role at Penn State, I have the opportunity to advise about 200 students in a student organization called SACE. It's a Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers. I also welcome many international students, and I work with over 600 change of campus students. So those are students who are starting their Penn State journey at a Commonwealth campus and transition here to University Park. One of the joys that I have is to explain to these students about the community surrounding Penn State University Park, that it is a community where they are safe to be who they are, that they can find foods that they can identify with, and that their celebrations, such as Lunar New Year, is welcome. My husband and I love this community. This is where we have raised our children. This is where we worship. We're at Calvary Church. I've led Girl Scout troops for 15 years. I've worked in Little League concession stands, center soccer, serve food at Night to Shine. And I tell students, get involved in the community, do community service, and many do. They will work over in LifeLink EMS, Lion Clinic, the food bank. I feel good about sending students out to a community that supports their identity. So, as in the proclamation, Lunar New Year is celebrated by East Asian countries of China, Vietnam, Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Thailand, Cambodia, Tibet, Indonesia, and Mongolia. The diaspora of these countries have spanned the globe. In the United States, there are celebrations of Lunar New Year across every major city and many small towns. Though the details of the celebrations differ from culture and individuals, they all include reflections and connections to family, both nuclear and extended and into the community, a clearing of the past and making room for new ideas and goals, enjoying the joys of things like food, games, music, and celebration of cultural identity. So in this year of the fire horse, I'm wearing horses on my dress today, I wish for you and our community a year of immense energy, strength, passion, creativity to take decisive action to ensure a year of abundance, of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And in my husband's native Cantonese, Gong Hei Fa Choi, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So good evening. My name is Nalini Krishnankuti. I'm a resident of State College Borough, and I'm here today as a founding member of the Pan-APIDA Circle community group of Center County, where APIDA stands for Asian Pacific Islander Desi American. We are a community group created in April 2021 to stand up to anti-Asian hate and to elevate the APIDA experience and celebrate APIDA joy. So my heartfelt thanks to you. As Sharon mentioned, College Township issuing this proclamation honoring Lunar New Year is really important. And while I don't personally celebrate Lunar New Year from my family background, I know that this proclamation is so meaningful at a time when individuals, so many of them from diverse backgrounds, are feeling marginalized, vulnerable, and afraid. And even as an elected council member, I currently always carry my passport card in my wallet. So those are the kind of times we are living in. As Sharon mentioned, Lunar New Year is celebrated worldwide, and it's more than 2 billion people who celebrate it. And this includes over 20 million Asian Americans and Asians living in the United States. Some of them are here as students, others are recent immigrants, and still others may be 8th generation immigrants, descendants of Asians who arrived as early as the 1500s aboard Spanish ships from the Philippines, or maybe in the 1800s from other parts of Asia. And interestingly, it was during a period of intense anti-Chinese rhetoric that the first public Lunar New Year celebration in the United States, then called Chinese New Year, was held around 125 years ago in 1853 in San Francisco. Today, that San Francisco Lunar New Year parade is the largest Lunar New Year parade outside of Asia, and it's an integral part of the American experience. A recent survey by the Asian American Foundation reported that 63% of Asians currently feel unsafe because of their race. Some attribute this to an increase in racial profiling by some federal agencies and to a broader rise in xenophobia. For me, this is deeply ironic that many APIDA residents are again experiencing a sense of exclusion, similar to experiences from 100 to 150 years ago, and this is happening during the 250th year of our nation's independence, a time when we should be celebrating our collective achievements, our diverse traditions, our immigration history, and our many contributions. So given this climate, your proclamation today carries even greater significance. It honors the many realities, experiences, and celebrations within our Center County community. It affirms that every College Township resident matters, that all our traditions are part of the American story, and that Lunar New Year is both an American and a Center County tradition. I also encourage everyone in College Township to take part in the many community events celebrating diverse APIDA cultures. One example was the recent free and inspiring Lunar New Year concert on February 13th that was organized by Penn State School of Music. It was a full house in the music recital hall that day. Families, of all backgrounds filled that room. There'll also be additional events in the coming months, including at SCLO Library, the Bellefonte Museum of Art, and on Penn State's campus, organized by many, many student groups. I do want to call special attention to what has become a beloved annual tradition. Please save the date on April 18th from 12 to 5 p.m. for a lively spring festival. It would be the APIDA Fest, returning for the 4th year to the Martin Luther King Plaza and Fraser Street, featuring food, music, performances, booths, and opportunities this year to celebrate the 250th year of American independence. This annual event is also a true town gown event. It was initiated by the Penn State APIDA Caucus and supported by the Pan-APIDA Circle, the Borough of State College, Penn State, many, many different Penn State entities support it. So this has been attended by 500 to 800 individuals every year, and I hope all of you will join us this year. With that, I want to say, first of all, thank you to Sharon for that amazing sharing that you did, and warm wishes to everyone for a happy Lunar New Year, and to everyone who's celebrating, and my sincere thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve proclamation P-26-02.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, with that, the proclamation is accepted. And if if you could come forward, we'd like to present it to you.
Good catch.
Yes. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Kim?
Lovely. Y'all are so good looking today.
You're not joining us?
No, I'm not an elected official, so.
Go break the camera.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
That's your personal photographer?
These are documentarian.
I didn't get my camera. Thank you.
I agree. Thanks.
I told you I was going to help procedurally tonight.
You're doing fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. Doing fine. Rolling right along.
All right, we are moving right along. All right, our next item up for discussion are reports, and with that, we'll start with the manager's report, please.
Sure. I actually don't have anything additional to add to the report. I will make a quick comment, and it will be on the next manager's update. But with respect to the pledge that College Township had made relative to the Sylvan View Estates project, and the pledge to the Center County Housing and Land Trust. A similar presentation that was made to both Ferguson Township, College Township, and Patton Township was also made to the CBICC recently, and I'm very pleased to report that the CBICC has now also contributed $10,000 toward the effort of reaching the $300,000 target number to help advance that project. There's still a few more irons that are in the fire, and we'll continue to pursue that. But at this point in time, we have of a $300,000 target, we have secured pledges for $235,000. So we're very pleased with that, and we will continue to move forward in that direction. But if there are any other questions about elements of the manager's update that's in your packet tonight, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
No questions, but maybe you want to share with council the first on-site meeting for the facility renovation.
That is tomorrow, right? No, I'm sorry.
25th.
The 25th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have.
On-site, go ahead, Mike,
Sorry,
please.
we have Kimmel Architecture, as Adam noted in his manager report, we have executed the contract. Kimmel will be bringing their sub-consultants, both structural as well as their mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultant along to do a more detailed assessment of the building, kind of that next step in moving towards ultimately the blueprints for a renovation of the facility.
Okay, thank you. Next set of reports will be the COG Regional, County, and Liaison reports. And by my reckoning, I have two reports. Eric, did you have a report from this morning from the
Yeah.
Joint Parks Capital Committee and Center Region Parks and Rec Authority that you attended for Rich?
I did.
Great.
And because Rich didn't attend, he got elected chair.
That'll show them.
And Patty Stevens got elected vice chair.
She was there.
She was there. She wasn't happy about it, but she accepted it. No, it was actually a joint meeting with the Center Region Park and Rec Authority. It was our COG Parks, and we're now meeting quarterly instead of monthly. So this was the reorg meeting. And there was only really two agenda items for Parks Cap that were action. One was obviously nomination of election of officers. And then the other one was the approval of the meeting schedule, as I noted, meeting quarterly. The other two items were information items, and that was on the autonomous electric robotic mowers pilot project. And this was actually accounted for in the budget deliberations for 2026. So what we were getting was a demonstration from the vendor on how it would work. And that resulted in a pile of questions from elected officials and appointed officials, many of which will be resolved through the pilot program. But it was interesting, and I mean, they were fair questions, but they were questions that staff really can't answer, many of them. That's why you do a pilot program. So it was interesting. The evolution of these things is stunning. I mean, you know, I see them in people's yards, but now there's commercial grade units that will do things like parks. So the pilot program is with one of the CoStar vendors, and they anticipate it lasting a year. But as part of it, they're buying, this is what was budgeted, they're buying, you need to buy 2 of them. But I think it's kind of neat. I think it's an adaptation that we should expect Park and Rec to look into. The other information update was on the Puddintown Interceptor Act 537 special plan. And that's the special plan that's required to be done in lieu of a full-blown 537 update. And that, interestingly enough, for any of you who have already seen that at your committee level, the delay of 3 or 4 years from when this was first announced actually will result in a better system where they're going to move to more a network of more gravity-fed, moving away from pump stations and investing more in locations where they can gravity feed back to UAJA more than relying on pump stations. What I didn't realize until we went through this is that while pump stations seem to be nice and in some cases necessary, they actually can complicate the movement of the stuff. Because you have to adjust apparently pressure and those kinds of things as you're moving from one pump station to another. So what I learned was nothing beats gravity. So the more we can move to a gravity-fed system, probably the better, and that is the recommendation that's moving through the municipalities now. So it was good. It was a good meeting. Not for Rich, but.
It was great. The next one.
Did you, were there any questions or comments? Any concerns? Did you have was it a CCMPO meeting or the staff meeting?
That was just to prepare for next week's.
Okay.
And the preparation is different, as you know, because it will be an old school meeting.
That's right.
With paper packets, no Zoom option.
Okay, well then I'll report on public safety. We met on the 10th of this month. I have my written report, so the only thing I would bring forward for discussion would be the committee did request an after-action report from Penn State and from the Emergency Management Coordinator, Jonathan Risley, on the winter sports weekend. This was a first ever event weekend for Penn State. There were 15 events that were held in 72 hours, so 13 of those were athletics. Yeah. Right. So this was the first time we had that many events go off in a short period of time. As you can see, Brian Bittner, the director of PSU, took the lead on the report and gave us some information on ambulance transports, sort of the kinds of things I think we've talked about, Adam, that go to Emergency Management Council. Comments from electeds and any particular concerns that were brought forward ranged from no concerns from one of the municipalities to parking concerns, traffic flow concerns. And then also there was a discussion about a change in the model of the use of Beaver Stadium. And so that was really more the gist of the discussion. And at the end, it was not an action item, it was an informational item. But we did ask that that electeds go back to their councils, you know, and discuss, you know, briefly the change in the model, which will include more concert events, and then also going forward, more weekend events where there'll be multiple different events to bring people in. So there will be a change in the use of the stadium, which up until now has primarily been 7 football weekends a year. So Mr. Kaufman talked a little bit about traffic control and in particular access to the hospital during these events when we don't have transportation planning the way we have. So we will bring any comments back from our boards and councils. Is there anything that anybody had any questions about, or any comments you'd like me to bring back to public safety?
Well, I'm just curious, what was the conversation surrounding traffic? Because I was on campus that weekend having to take my children back on campus. It was horrifying. So what was the conversation surrounding that?
So there were some lessons learned
Gotcha.
over this weekend. I think that's the challenge, is that this was a first ever event. And so
Yeah.
there were some events that let out and also opened up at the same time. So there were some traffic issues related to the timing of the events.
Yeah.
And there were also some issues related to parking because of the
yep.
freezing and the cold. So
Right.
If I may, more specifically, for what I'll call a traditional football weekend and a traditional football event, there are transportation plans that are developed. Ingress and egress to the stadium, out of the stadium. There are plans that are filed, reviewed, and approved by PennDOT for the use of PennDOT roadways in those cases. The problem that we're seeing is that, especially with events that essentially are just over 16,000 attendees, which is about the size of the Jordan Center. Once we get past that level, there need to be traffic plans in place and functional for events larger than 16,000 attendees.
Right.
And of all the events that have been held at Beaver Stadium, non-football, there is yet to be a traffic plan for those events. And what that means in reality is that the traffic signals run free, which is they just run the way that they run every day of the week, and there's no true control, no adjustment that is made. And as a result, there can be and are, with these larger than 16,000 attendee events, significant backups and you know, added time
Yep.
to travel. So that is an item that I think really does need some attention as we move forward, and our conversations that we have with Penn State officials, primarily athletics. Again, I think that a traditional football Saturday is something that we have quite a bit of experience with. People kind of know the routine, both from an organizational standpoint as well as an attendee standpoint. But with a new event, even though it may be at the same place, it is being handled differently, and as a result, that is creating some real challenges and obstacles.
That's a good point.
Well, I think Adam nailed it pretty good. We actually had a little bit of this conversation, and I would go so far as to encourage council to provide official comments back. In fact, the local government liaison actually encouraged us to provide comments through him, consensus comments. So I think we probably have an obligation on behalf of our residents to document what we saw or experienced firsthand, maybe with some suggestions. I was in that same traffic nightmare.
Yes.
And exactly how Adam described it. It was very different than a football,
It was.
because nothing outside the immediate entrances to the parking lot was changed.
Correct.
So we had gridlock that sat and sat and
And
didn't
sat.
move. That normally would flow.
Yeah.
Same amount of traffic, but it would flow because of the adjustments they make for football games.
Correct.
One of those elements is the one-way traffic in the hour before. I mean, that would be part of the plan, but That makes a huge difference, because especially in this event, it was cold out, and everybody's like, I'm not going up any earlier than I need to. And
Right.
everybody had that thought
Yep.
at once, and it didn't work well.
Both
Well-
in terms of the traffic in as well as people trying to get into the stadium for the game, so.
There are also parking challenges at the stadium that are not typically experienced with a normal, traditional football Saturday. And those are also elements that have to be addressed by the event organizers. You know, people end up paying for parking, and ultimately, they don't end up with that particular space,
Right.
for the space that they had paid for. And granted, in this particular case, the 12 inches of snow did no one any favors, and there's very little that can be controlled about that. However, in the past, we've had,
Yes.
for football, there have been contingency plans.
Yes.
And again, just like the non-existence of traffic plans, there has been a non-existence of contingency plans. But there are several things that have got to be resolved, especially given the fact, I happened to be in a working meeting this morning with the other regional managers and CATA. And we get together every month and we have a conversation about what CATA's doing and issues, problems, those kinds of things. And CATA had a meeting with individuals from intercollegiate athletics who kind of indicated that they're looking at maximizing the utilization of the stadium facility once construction is completed many, many times over what is presently being done. And on top of the traffic and the parking and the contingency planning for those elements, I think that we also have to take a look at the issue involving multiple events on the same day. That is a strain on a community of our size, and given the fact that the preponderance of our fire and EMS service is volunteer, it's to the, I think it stretches their capabilities to the breaking point. 15 events over a 3-day period beginning Thursday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even on into Sunday over 4 days is a lot to ask of the volunteer services in this community. And I think while it's perfectly understandable why you want to have a winter athletics weekend, there needs to be some clarity brought to that particular issue. I think it's a real concern.
No, I was just gonna make the suggestion if we could ask staff to come back with a formal draft that we could review at a future.
And add to maybe. But Adam touched on it, it wasn't limited to just Saturday.
Right.
You know, for example, Friday night, there was a sold-out wrestling event at the Jordan Center, and it was utilizing the same parking that hockey was using that was letting out at the time the wrestling was. So, you know, that's a tough,
Very.
it's a tough management there, but and it didn't go well.
No.
And
No, you go
No,
first.
Ms. Marion.
Okay, I was just gonna say too, it wasn't just an automobile issue, it was a pedestrian issue too, because there was people walking in the street, and that's a safety issue, because they're trying to avoid having to park closer to the event, because they wanna avoid the traffic, and that was just, it was scary, because there was so many children and families, and they're walking in the street, and I'm like, I just wanna go home, because now my anxiety's here.
And
Yeah.
some of the comments that I had from residents included the concerns about traffic as far back as South Atherton
Yeah.
Street and even on North Atherton Street, but also concerns with communication around the weekend, that residents weren't aware and didn't make contingency plans the way they would for a typical football weekend, that you know that football's coming, that's not going to be the time that you're out. One of the comments that came up during the discussion was that this is part of a Big Ten conference model to as you said, utilize the stadiums differently and more frequently for different events. And that really Penn State and Beaver Stadium and the region are very, very different. The word unicorn was used at one point compared to the other Big Ten stadiums. So the other Big Ten stadiums are located in much larger areas where there are multiple hospital systems, multiple entries in and out of hospitals, level 1 trauma centers. So some concern around how would we potentially consider stress testing the resources that we do have in the community under new use, whether it's multiple events or whether it's a larger event that involves an outside vendor bringing an act in and doesn't have a transportation plan in place. So if those could be included in those comments, I think that's a good recommendation, Mr. Frank. Thank you.
Having been to a lot of these stadiums, each stadium has its own challenges and
Yes.
everything. So
Yes.
there is no one fits all, but they are trying to maximize the Big Ten network dollars, I think, and get these kind of events and everything. I will only offer I had no problem getting in at 07.
We went in at 09 and we were okay too. And I left at 1500. So there are two issues. So there will be the comments that will be addressed back to the Penn State representative. I'll be returning back to public safety, and that's the second Tuesday of the month. Would it be possible to get those comments before then? Would there be any, I don't know if we meet before then.
Our first March meeting?
Yes, I don't want to speak that.
Yeah, I am going to, I know that I'm going to be out of town. So the question then becomes, Mike and I will work on that, but I think that we can get something done.
Just a follow-on, just get feedback from all the public works folks and everything that were in the trenches when this was all going on and everything.
I mean, I think it went very well from a...
For no plan, yeah.
For having no plan. I mean, it went about as well as you could expect, right?
Right.
But in terms of...
Not a plan.
There were no, there were no catastrophic failures of any particular kind. The ambulances were still able to do what they do and that kind of a thing. So we were fortunate that way.
Right.
But it just takes
takes
one thing.
Yeah.
Just
And the
takes
goal
one.
is to prevent the catastrophe.
Right.
Not take care of it when it comes, so.
Mitigate the risk.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Thank you for the suggestion, Mr. Frank.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next meeting I attended, and I'll just briefly update you on executive committee.
Do you want me to go first? Finance?
Oh, I thought we already did you last time.
No, we hadn't met.
Okay, please,
Yeah.
take it away.
So actually, this touched a couple of different meetings and everything. One of them was the plastering project at Welch. That's interesting bird in that it's an authority project on an authority asset, which we budgeted for and everything. We had it on our agenda just in case we needed to recommend a budget amendment. But technically, there was didn't need to be a roll, but I think there was an abundance of caution to have it through. But the other fortunately, it came in well below budget. The lowest bidder was non-qualified. They didn't submit the complete package, so it went with the next lowest bidder, which ended up being a known commodity, which was great. We actually recommended not to exceed of the budget amount, which gave them room while they have the contractor mobilized to get other things done as part of it, because that's a big cost and everything. But I don't know, so my question would be, are we gonna see that at the general forum? Because we've pushed it forward to exec.
I don't
and
think so,
general
because
forum.
the action they took today at the authority was to accept it.
Okay,
It was, I didn't bring it up because it was an authority action item.
right, that's what I said, but it hit a,
Yeah, it was an action item, Welsh Pool bid award for
Yep.
replastering project,
Right.
well under budget.
yeah, well, the bid prices, but we suggested that they should, anything they can get in while the contractor's mobilized.
Yeah, so
And it's a group.
it's moving forward.
Right.
As of the.
I just, like I said, I didn't know if it continued on passed, we did make a motion, a recommended motion, and everything to exec and general forum for it, but
I don't know if it'll be before general forum, but.
that's how exec would decide. Yeah, that's fine.
You
I
didn't-
just
you didn't decide.
making aware, but it was an interesting discussion in that this is an example of why elected officials get confused of what they actually have a role opining in and everything.
Well, we're
So-
doing our best as College Township to unconfuse those.
Yeah, we're trying. The next one was the plow, which touched your
Yes.
public safety. We actually had to, we didn't know what public safety's action was when we published our agenda. So we had that going in and of course recommended it. That's coming out of existing capital fund balance, so that's fine. And the final was we got to see our fund balance policy compiled. Up to this point, we had done each individual fund and worked through. So when you compile it all, it's about 58 pages, riveting reading when it comes out. So one of the, our pushback was we would like it to be sent out with an executive summary
Excuse me.
and to include potentially an implementation plan. Because the first thing I feel everybody's gonna, okay, that's great, what's it look like? How much does it cost? And everything. And I blew off some dust on a spreadsheet and just looking at the operating funds and using the 2026 budget expenditures, it's potentially $500,000 in change in fund balance. So I don't think that would go over real well.
Right.
And so we're gonna look at that. The other thing is that was based on the difference between projected 2026 or 2025 ending fund balances. So usually we come in higher, so that, you know, that number will come down. It's still gonna be a good number. So, and like I said, that's just operating. I didn't even look at capital and enterprise. Shouldn't be an issue. But so staff originally wanted that out in March, and we're like, how about April? So, exec and general forum should see it in April. We're hoping to see the executive summary at our March meeting.
Okay.
So, I think that is it. The only other thing I would offer, and may come to exec, I made a request that we get an update on the facility master plan that's supposed to be in the works. With the facility committee standing down, it doesn't have a direct path anymore, although I think finance has a role, can have a role, but just, it might end up at exec.
That'd be good to know ahead of time. Thank you.
Right.
I had a question for Rich.
Please.
With respect to the fund balance policy and the implementation plan, did Finance Committee discuss with staff the concept of phasing and ramping up?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, it's how long? I mean, 3, 5, 10 years, you know. The problem was we didn't have
an idea.
a face of what
Right.
that number looked like. I did that the morning of the finance meeting, going into it, but, so, we need to have a face of it, and then we can make a recommendation on how to implement it. But my concern was, I didn't want the fund balance policy dismissed just out of sticker shock, and everything. I see it following a similar path to what we did with the compensation plan. That, you know, we originally pushed it forward, and then it got kicked back and said, you know, tell us how to do this. So we're gonna try to push it, especially because of timing. We wanna get it in place for the 27 budget, so it really needs to come out in April. So, that's what we're gonna try and get done in March.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the only comments you have written report on executive committee. We discussed last meeting, the resolution reforming ICE to protect constitutional rights, and executive committee did not make a motion to move that to the general forum, so that will not be coming on Monday. I think the rest of the information is here in the report. I did want to let you know I won't be here in town. I was hoping to join on Zoom, but now that we may not have the Zoom option, so general forum members should try to plan to get there in person. We don't know exactly what will happen. Ben's working on trying to come up with a solution to use Zoom off, different system. But there will be a Center Region Parks Authority, Planning Authority, a strategic planning session for electeds, and that will be at 5:30. So Pam Adams has mentioned that. And then after the February meeting, we do have the active violence training. So it could potentially be a longer night. So I should think that through. And I will try and join by Zoom if it's an option, otherwise I won't be attending.
No, I don't think it's going to be an option.
He had some kind of idea that maybe he could do something creative. Okay.
Those phones with the string
Yeah,
attached.
exactly. I'll have an orange juice can in Vermont.
A lot of string.
I'll be by tomorrow to pick up a string. Okay.
Hey, they did, COGSTEP did send out an email today asking if you had previously registered for that strategic plan workshop, that they need you to re-register.
Okay, thank you.
So if anybody was planning to go from 5:30 to 6:30, she needs to know that again, so she can accommodate, because it includes a meal.
One alibi we actually did bring up, because we were the first in the chute after all this happened, and we were paper and all that good stuff, but we asked, how did this impact various things, public safety in particular. So fire's real good, because they have all their radio stuff. Code is real good. And I guess for the police, the only thing down was their record system. All three police departments share in the records
Yeah, the
system, and
RMS system.
they can't access that. They couldn't access that as of our meeting and everything, but the rest of it seemed, from a public safety standpoint, seemed correct.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you, good reports. Our next item up is old business. Mrs. Knepp is going to give us a report, or a memo and update on our two items. We have two items for discussion and action. The first is ordinance 0-26-1. Both of these items have to do with the Pam Health project that we're working on. So with that, you also, Ms. Knepp has also provided us with recommended motions. These are staff recommended motions. So for the Pam Health changes, there are going to be 3 recommended motions. So if you would give us the overview. Lindsay gave us a
lot of information.
sorry, boy. Whew. Okay, thanks. Actually, we're going to zip back and go back.
All right. I thought you were just changing the order. It's all good.
No, we're not changing the order. I already did that once. Okay. So with that, we'll go back to the consent agenda. Thank you very much. Tonight on our consent agenda, we have CA. Oh, okay. We're going to go back even further. Oh, my word. Okay.
Matt's sitting back there, he's got his joke
Yeah.
all
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Matt, come forward. We have staff, PC, and other committee reports. Mr. Fenn, please accept my apology.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm Matt Fenton, the liaison to the Council and Planning Commission. Two things we discussed Tuesday night. The easier thing, we talked about permitted use. We sort of went through lodging, civic, civil support, open space, recreation, agricultural, and light industrial pretty quickly. The one thing that really took most of our discussion time was the residential, and specifically how we want to look at density. Back in our joint meeting, I think it was Lindsay that said, well, it'd be nice to have some developers come in and sort of give their opinion, and that's sort of where we're hung up a little bit. We're just trying to put our heads into the heads of the developers, which is sort of tough. So does anybody have any questions on that? And this is an ongoing, I mean, this is, you know. The second thing we talked about, the conditional use for the Legacy Boxing and Combat Academy. We had a 4 yes, 0 no, 2 abstain to recommend it for approval. I was actually initially a no and then became an abstain. I still have a hard time trying to figure out, we're approving a conditional use, but we can't really state what conditions that the people use in their facility. So that was my reason for initially no and abstaining. I did look up, we had another member who's sort of concerned with the word combat. I looked up 2 definitions of combat. The old school Merriam-Webster is a fight or contest between individuals or groups, conflict or controversy, or act of fighting in a war. The modern one, Wikipedia, a purposeful violent contact between multiple combatants with the intent to harm the opposition. Combat may be armed or unarmed. Combat is resorted to either as a method of self-defense or to impose one's will upon the other. And we're very supportive of what the gentleman is doing out there now. He's mostly doing martial arts and boxing, but our concern was if we grant conditional use, we sort of lose control of what happens in the future, especially with the combat situation. And I realize we have 2 ex-military members on the council too.
Well, I would offer that there's actually a third definition.
Okay.
It was a TV show in the 60s starring Vic Morrow.
Combat, I remember that, yeah.
I don't.
It was a good show.
Yeah, it was.
Does anybody have any questions on it?
No other questions? It sounds like it'll come back to us.
Yeah, this could come back.
It'll come back.
And okay, third, I don't have a joke tonight, but I actually have a report. Carrie invited me to represent College Township at a Leadership Center County on February 6th. And Adam was here to represent staff. Susan here to represent council. Carrie was here. Lindsay was here also. I don't know if I'm missing anybody. And
Mark.
oh, hey, okay, Mark. So to try to lighten things up, I introduced myself as the College Township Planning Commission. I knew we had a lot of sports fans out there, but anyway, there was a group of maybe 50, 60 people, and we sort of introduced ourselves, and we split out into 3 groups, and my group was actually Jan, Adam, and Carrie. And I really didn't know what to expect, so we got lots of questions, but one of the things that Jan said was that we sort of look at, you know, national and international, all that stuff, but I think he said like 80–85% of what affects your life actually happens locally. And, you know, it all happened real fast, but I thought, man, that was really good. That's better than anything I said all day.
So,
But,
I have a question for you on that.
okay.
Did he attribute the quote to anybody who said it to him?
I don't recall that.
No.
Asking for
But
a
anyway,
friend.
I thought, yeah.
You better just say yes.
There might be someone here that put.
Just
There may have been a little bit of blame of who got him involved in
Yeah.
There was a lot of that.
ABCs.
But anyway,
But it is true, isn't it?
Anyway, I'm riding back. It was out at the Walker Township. I'm riding back. I'm around the quarries, and I'm like, wait a second. That's a song called "Hammer and a Nail," and I play guitar not very well. My wife says I collect guitars better than I play. I play for my own humor, my family, and sometimes my neighbors. But there's a song written by the Indigo Girls. I actually looked up, written in 1980, that talks about certain things. And the last 2, the third verse, the last 2 lines is, "If I have a care in the world, I have a gift to bring." And I think probably some of the people sitting out there, we're explaining our volunteering, there are probably some people that are like, I got to do that, and some people are like, these guys, you know, can't believe what they're doing and all that stuff. So I'd like to thank our volunteers, and I'd like to thank staff for actually having a care in the world and bringing the gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I guess we'll stick to the agenda order now. And with that, I will ask Mr. Wood kindly provide us with a DEIB?
Yeah, other than the proclamation that you earlier took action on, nothing new to add this evening.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. And tonight, we have CA-1, the minutes, approval of our January 28th, 2026 College Township Council PC joint meeting minutes and the February 5th, 2026 College Township Council regular meeting minutes. We have CA2A, letter from HRG dated February 6th, 2026, regarding a time extension for the Gray Star Student Housing Land Development Plan to June 2nd, 2026. And B, an email from the Lamont Village Association dated February 6th, 2026, regarding safety concerns for pedestrians around the greenery. And then CA2-3, we have already pulled the proclamation. CA-3B, letter from the Soldiers' Hands received February 13th, requesting sponsorship. And CA-3C, letter of support for build funding for South Atherton Street improvements. Any members of council that would like to pull any of the consent agenda items tonight for further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I would,
If no one else is going to bring it up, I will say CA3B, please. The soldier hands, or soldiers' hands.
so with that, I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda absent CA3A and CA3B.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay.
On CA3B, which is a request for a donation or contribution toward the 4th Annual Memorial Day Weekend 5K Walk, Remember Our Fallen. Just as a reminder, we did support this particular event last year, and I believe ultimately we settled at a $500 contribution. So my question is council interested in sponsoring again? And if so, at what dollar level might council consider?
Mr. Burnett?
I'm comfortable supporting it again at least the same dollar level we did last year. I don't recall getting any feedback one way or the other.
We had some
We did-
thank
we
you
did get
correspondence.
Okay.
We did, we got acknowledgement. Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I meant, yeah, I remember that part of it. I just meant, I know, as a vet, I'm obviously going to be somewhat biased.
Sure.
So I mean, I don't see they have that exact figure, but they
Yeah,
have one
that
close to that.
450.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank? In favor?
But just disclosure, we're participating on my day job.
Okay. Ms. Sauer?
Yes, I'm in support.
And it sounds like there's general agreement around participating $500 again this year?
Is there any idea what any of the other municipalities might be doing for this as far as sponsorship?
I have no idea.
Just curious.
Thank you. I think I have proper direction. We'll take care of that.
Okay, and do we need a motion to?
It would ultimately to approve and to, yeah, that would work too.
I would accept a motion to approve and authorize the manager to make that donation on behalf of the township.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda. Old business. OB1, be discussion of ordinance amendments related to the TAM Health Project and University UPD, a rezoning request, a land development plan approval, and here's a third motion that the zoning map. So if you could walk us through the memo, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Lindsay prepared a fantastic memo, so hopefully you all had the opportunity to read through that. I'll just briefly go through, we also have representatives here from Catalyst Healthcare Real Estate as well as PAM Health. So once I kind of give that overview of where we are, if Madam Chair, if you'd like to open the floor to them to kind of give an update and introduce themselves. So going over Lindsay's memo, just the decisions associated with PAM Health proposal include the development of regional impact, the DRI, rezoning request, subdivision plan, and associate developers agreement. The PAM Health proposal involves an expansion of the regional growth boundary and sewer service area, and a rezone request of 5.8 acre parcel from UPD 14 to the Planned Research and Business Park District, PRBD. She goes into the relationship there between the rezoning, DRI, subdivision, and developers agreement. And just wanted to reiterate that that is not, approval of the rezoning and the DRI does not constitute the final land development approval. That will come after this. So the rezoning request, she gave the timeline there, started in January of 2025, and has moved through the process of Planning Council and Planning Commission as well. And now we are here to make a decision on the rezoning at council level. The DRI, again, started August 27th of 2025 and has moved through the process as needed, including CRPA, the Planning Commission, and Council. And so we're here for the decision on that. The subdivision plan included review by Planning Commission, conditionally approved by Council, all of those standard conditions of approval, waivers, and deferrals that go on to the land development plan as noted. And that information she provided was attached as well. And then the developer's agreement has been prepared as conditional approval. She included that. It has been through our solicitor as well, who has made comments and made changes on that. Some noteworthy items and agency considerations. Planning Commission had a concern initially, but has been addressed through the submission and conditional approval of the subdivision plan. CRPC had site selection concerns. They had asked, what diligence had been done to find a location that was within the growth boundary. And we heard back that they had done a thorough look of the area of many sites, and this was the only site that was going to meet all of the needs of the client, including location, access, visibility, proximity to the hospital, size, availability of utilities, proximity to I-99, cost, complementary use of surrounding neighborhood, topography, etc. So again, this is not the final step. They will come back with the land development process that will include traffic mitigation, utilities, stormwater, sidewalks, all of those elements. So tonight is requesting council's action to move forward on the rezoning request and the expansion of the regional growth boundary.
Okay. With that, I'll ask the gentleman from Catalyst if you'd like to come forward and give us your comments. Do you have anything you'd like to share before we start our discussion?
Sure.
If you would introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
Absolutely. So sure. Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Brandon McFerrin. I'm with Catalyst Healthcare Real Estate, the developer for the project. We've been working with PAM Health over the past 6 years, developing, I think this is now our 19th or 20th project for them in different markets. And so very excited to bring this one to State College. We've obviously been working closely with staff throughout this process and very grateful for all the guidance and help so far. I know this is just a step in the right direction. There's still a lot of wood to chop still, and we're leaning in and ready to make that happen. So I'm here for any questions that you might have. Thank you, Carrie, for giving a great update so far. But if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Okay. All right, so the best way forward, we have 3 recommended motions from staff. I'll open up the discussion now for questions for staff or from Catalyst, and then we can work through each one of the ordinances separately. this. Initially, does anyone have any questions about the rezoning request? We're being asked to rezone this area of the University Plan District to the PRBD. That's been discussed before. Any questions about that?
None that we haven't already asked and
Exactly.
answered.
Any? Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a
Yes.
very quick observation. The reason that the rezoning has taken so long was because it was being done in conjunction with the DRI. Had this been a development that was already within the growth boundary, action on the rezoning would have occurred much, much sooner. So the practice of not rezoning until the determinations about the growth boundary expansion were made is what is causing these to align in one meeting tonight.
Then the next is the motion regarding the regional growth boundary and sewer service area expansion, and we know that that's coming in under our implementation plan, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any questions or concerns about that that we haven't addressed before? And then the last is the rezoning request,
Zoning.
the
Yeah.
zoning map, I'm so sorry, the zoning map, and then amending the zoning map for that rezoning change. Any questions or comments?
The first and the third go together. It's more a formality of, yes, you're approving
Okay.
the rezoning, and then you're making the
So
official
that's what,
ordinance.
that I had two as action items tonight, and that's broken down into three now. So as far as making those motions, are you asking that we make those two motions together?
Staff put them as three, I would just do all
Okay, right.
three and move through
So
them.
at this point, I will accept motions from council on any, would anyone like to move any of these motions?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the rezoning request to rezone 5.8 acres of tax parcel 19-003-100 from University Plan District 14, UPD 14, to Planned Research and Business Park District, PRBD, subject to the following conditions. Record the PAM State College preliminary final subdivision plan, provide a fully executed developer's agreement.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against, please same sign. Okay, seeing none, I would accept a motion for the regional growth boundary and sewer service area expansion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the request to expand the regional growth boundary, RGB, and sewer service area, SSA, to encompass an additional 5.8 acres of tax parcel 19-003-100, subject to the following conditions. 1, record the PAM State College preliminary/final subdivision plan, and 2, provide a fully executed developer agreement.
Second?
So I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none. And then last, the rezoning request on Pam Health. Would anyone like to make the recommended motion?
The growth boundary expansion?
We just did that.
This
We
is-
did that.
this
We
is
did
the
that.
zoning.
I'm
This is
the
sorry,
zoning
I
request.
stand
This is the map.
corrected. I'm not
I
paying
don't
attention.
need to be.
I'm not paying attention.
Madam Chair, I move to approve ordinance
Thank you.
O-26-01 to amend the College Township zoning map to change 5.8 acres of University Plan District 14, UPD 14, to Planned Research and Business Park District, PRBD.
Second?
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, that takes care of OB1. Thank you very much for being here with us this evening, gentlemen.
I do want to say, though, that Carrie's comments reminded me of something. For those who are interested or excited about the opportunity of this being developed, feel fortunate that it came in under the DRI Light
Right.
opportunity, because at the other end of Innovation Park, where we need to get a majority consensus amongst the other member municipalities, those same questions came up, and Penn State is being asked, actually being required to provide answers to all of those questions. And I think they're going to have to do a really robust job of justifying it in order to get the majority support that's going to be needed. Here you just needed support in the room.
We met with them earlier today, and we let them know that they were fortunate to be on the light side. We also talked about next steps, so we talked about the land development plan that will be next, and at the same time, they will also be working with the water authority on the water line, so they'll have both of those projects running in conjunction.
And that's not meant to discount the importance or value of those questions. Those are the right questions to ask. It's just we had already asked and answered them internally within this building. The case was made. It's going to be a tougher case to make, I think, for that larger complex at the other end.
I also want to thank staff for all the work that was done on this. There was a lot of back and forth and taking a very complex process and helping counsel through it as well. So thank you, and thank you to Lindsay, who's not here this evening. It was a lot of work. All right, next item up for discussion is OB-1. We'll be discussing ordinance changes. We have 3 ordinance amendment changes to discuss this evening tonight. And again, staff has given us 2 recommended motions here. Yet we have 3 different changes. So
I believe that the ordinance changes are all lumped together in the one motion.
Okay.
And the second one is specific to is a resolution regarding fees. So I believe all the ordinance changes
okay, I see. Yeah, I see that now.
for those items
Okay.
are together.
So the, did you want to explain the different
Sure.
changes that will be going through the conditional use, the zoning,
Yeah.
and then the SALDO?
Lindsay again provided a memo that kind of runs through that over the past few months, looking at modernization of ordinances to be consistent with what's going on at the state level and emerging trends. So Chapter 87, conditional uses, is looking at adding data centers as a conditional use with related regulations pertaining to standards and recommendations in the rural residential zoning district. Chapter 200 zoning is updating definitions to include data centers as an accessory use, and utility facilities. Amend temporary uses to adjust permit length for mobile food vendors. Resolution, that's what the resolution for fees is. And include an option for reduction in parking requirements when partnering with local transit authorities. So if they provide bus passes for their residents, they would be able to reduce those parking spaces. And Chapter 180, subdivision and land development, the ordinance change would be for the threshold requirements to submit a traffic impact study as it applies to development proposals.
Thank you. And we did have 2 written public comments that came forward as part of the public hearing. So there is an email from Mr. Jason Kozerski from Patton Township, who is making some suggestions, but it would be likely we would be able to include these in the conditional uses should we be discussing this as an approval. So if you had any questions about that. And then this afternoon, we received a copy of correspondence from Mr. Alters and Ms. Blair from Harris Township with concerns with particular regard to their understanding that by including data centers as conditional use, that there was some perception that we might be soliciting that business and development, which Mr. Bloom was able to work through in correspondence. And so I wanted to acknowledge both of those written public comments And does staff have any other additional questions or comments regarding the ordinances?
I do think for clarity, it bears repeating, and Mike, I'll go ahead and let you
Please.
Sure.
do that, but I think that this is an important element so that
Yes.
the general public understands what we are doing and what we are not doing.
So relevant to data centers, currently in our existing zoning ordinance, they would otherwise be considered a permitted use. And while that's fine, really the intent and the preemptive measure that we're taking here is in reaction to action that is being proposed at the state. Senate Bill 939, that is still circulating through committee at this point, but when it was originally introduced, what it did was basically, for lack of a better term, hamstring local municipalities in terms of their ability to review and provide comment and requirements on data centers. It truncated the MPC, Municipalities Planning Code, requirements of a 90-day review to 30 days, and also prohibited us from applying any conditions beyond what we would typically apply to a traditional industrial use. By making this nuanced change to our ordinance and making them conditional use, that bill actually has language in it that speaks to it becomes a 120-day review period and allows us some flexibility in time to apply conditions to data centers that we would otherwise not be allowed to do if it continued as a permitted use, should this bill ultimately go forward. So that's the genesis, and that's the reason behind this is, ultimately recognizing the potential impacts of data centers to our community. We want to have as much time available and the ability to apply conditions where we're able to do so to make sure that we minimize any impacts that would ultimately be associated with any proposed data center at this point. I want to be clear, we have had no indication that one is coming. At this point, this is preemptive entirely by design to get ahead of some potential legislation coming from the state.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. We do have a couple of changes to Chapter 200. Any questions on Chapter 87, conditional uses with data centers?
I just want to thank Adam for bringing that up, because anybody who read some of the media coverage about the recent Center Region Planning Agency meeting, it's clear that people don't understand. There's a mixed perception out there. If you read the media coverage, clearly most all of the members of the Center Region Planning Agency understood what we were doing and understood the value to their municipality in taking this proactive approach. So much so that they said, geez, we got to get on this. We got to get on what College Township is doing, get ahead of this. One member completely misunderstood it apparently, so there are folks, because he was opposing this, when in reality, one would think they would support this if you want that ability to place the conditions on that people are identifying as issues.
Right.
Without this action, we got nothing. We got nothing.
The nuance or the piece that was missed in there is that currently permitted use by right. So this actually applies more requirements and applies a different process to the approval of data centers. So I can understand the confusion. Certainly there's complexities here, and it's kind of three-dimensional chess. There's multiple things happening at one time, and we're just trying to stay ahead of it.
But it's also not a solicitation
100%.
of these types of facilities. We're prepared should one
Well, and
end up on our doorstep.
I appreciate the email from Mr. Alters and from Ms. Blair, because it gave us an opportunity to clarify that as part of this discussion tonight. I think we all understood that, but we've made that very clear, so thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Lynn, for your explanation. Under Chapter 200, are there any questions for staff from council on the proposed amendments to the ordinance? Mr. Frank?
No questions.
Mr. Burnett? And then under chapter 180, are there any questions on the threshold for the traffic impact study? Okay. Well, if that's the case, and so we need two separate action items here. We need a motion for the ordinance to approve the ordinance to amend Chapter 87, Chapter 180, and Chapter 200, and then there will be a resolution for the fees update. So those are two separate action items. Would anyone like to make the first motion?
I think it's my turn. This is for the conditional use, right? That's one we're doing
Yes.
first? Okay.
Yep.
I move to approve ordinance 0-26-02 to amend Chapter 87 conditional uses to include data centers, Chapter 180 subdivision and land development to include a threshold for traffic impact study requirements, and Chapter 200 zoning to include definitions and incentive to reduce parking and increase the time frame for mobile food vendors.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none. The next is a resolution. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve Resolution R-26-09 as written?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve Resolution R-26-09 to update fees in A203-7, soliciting and temporary businesses in relation to the ordinance changes to zoning Chapter 200-41. Temporary uses, A, temporary uses permitted in 10 mobile food vendors.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, seeing none, motion carries unanimously. We are done with old business. Which brings us to new business. That's the next item. Okay. NE1, we have Regional Local Government Revenue Innovation and Sustainability Plan, and Mr. Rumbaugh, you've made a memo for us. Would you care to review this?
I'll do my best to summarize this. We were asked to initially participate along with other center region managers to explore potential expansions, opportunities for local government revenue. As you know, College Township was one of the only regional municipalities that did not end up with property tax increase this year. Three of the other larger municipalities that did have property taxes were all strongly encouraged by their elected bodies to explore alternative revenue sources. You may recall a number of years ago there was a push, a movement around a drink tax of some type. This proposal, while somewhat in that vein, it's a little bit broader of a reach and of a scope to look at a variety of potential things that up to and including the possibility of an expansion and a carve out for funds from hotel tax, or to allow for a hotel tax. So it's much more expansive of a reach than potentially just a singular type of a drink tax. The idea here, the State College Borough has been working with Allegheny Strategic Partners. They're out of Brockville, Pennsylvania, and they're the agency that has made a proposal to the 5 center region municipalities: Harris, College, Ferguson, Patton, and of course State College Borough, to do this study. They're proposing a $5,000 a month fee to do the investigation to identify potential revenue sources that they may be able to then shift gears and lobby the state legislature for exemptions on the part of College Township. I say exemptions, that's not necessarily the right word, but to allow for various taxes or revenues to be collected by center county municipalities. Primarily, and specifically, I really should say, focused around public safety oriented costs that are associated with a region in the state that holds a wide variety of large events. Police, fire, EMS, some of the similar things that we just talked about earlier this evening. And so the question here for College Township Council is whether or not the council has an interest in participating in this particular contract to do this evaluation. From my perspective, I have offered that I think that it's a worthwhile effort to identify potential additional revenue sources. And so I would encourage on that basis that we participate. However, I'm less than optimistic that there would be success at the state level in getting special treatment in terms of assessing those kinds or collecting those kinds of additional revenues from some type of a carve-out by the state legislature. The proposal to split the funding for that $5,000 per month is predicated on the number of liquor licenses that exist within each individual municipality. The Harris Township has recently discussed this. They have decided they are not interested in participating. Harris Township, I believe, has 4 or 8 licenses. Those would need to be divvied up amongst the rest of the participants should College Township participate. I'm anticipating it would be a $600 to $700 per month charge, somewhere in that vicinity at the end of the day. So the real question here is to try to take the temperature of council about whether or not there is an interest in participating with our local neighbors, municipalities, in evaluating these potentials.
So this is both a discussion and action.
Potential.
A potential action item, and the potential action would be participating with the other municipalities in this contract for 6 months, and then also approving the funds to be used for that contract. All right, well, with that, thank you for the summary. With that, I'll open it up. Mr. Frank, do you have questions or comments?
No, I support the manager.
Ms. Mariner, do you have questions or comments?
No question or comments. I agree. I support the manager.
Is the phase, is it anticipated phase 1 will take 6 months?
Yes, I had a little confusion in reading the original proposal myself. I did get clarification from another municipal manager. Yes, phase 1 is to take 6 months.
Okay, so
Thereafter, there would be a lobbying effort, essentially. And it would be at that point in time that I would anticipate that there would be a more significant cost to the participants to carry forward beyond that evaluation phase.
that was my question, because there's these, it doesn't look like it's that long,
Right.
if you follow this.
I know, and that's what
But I don't see how you get all that stuff done in 2 months in phase 1 either.
Exactly.
Right.
So the comfort level of staff is that we participate at the phase 1 level with that investment, because the deliverables are of value, whether we continue or not. It appears there's some value in those.
I think the secondary decision point would be the phase 2.
Okay.
The actual lobbying, I think that would need to come back here, because again, I'm anticipating that that's at an additional price. Something more than what has been quoted.
Same as Rich, I support
Okay. Well,
what staff is comfortable with.
Just a motion,
yeah. So, all right.
move to
Did you-
support.
Okay, I thought you had something to add. Phew. Okay, with that, I will make the motion to
I'll move to direct the manager to participate, College Township participate in the regional local government revenue innovation and sustainability plan through phase one.
Second?
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then our next new business item is the Fly State College Fund contribution, request from CBICC, and Ms. Brumbaugh, you have a memo, or at least a copy of the email from
We do,
Mr.
yes.
Stott, and did you want to?
Yes, I will. Apparently, this is the evening where I come and ask you for money.
Money.
But you may recall, last year, 18 months ago, we had made a pledge to a similar effort around and involving air service at the State College Regional Airport. In that particular case, there was a particular company, I believe it was Breeze Airways, that was negotiating with the airport authority about flights to Florida, to a Florida destination. And while that did not follow through, we were asked to make a pledge, and at the time, we made a $5,000 pledge toward that particular effort. Since that time, the CBICC specifically has undertaken a very detailed study of origin. In essence, it's an air origin and destination study to gauge who is flying. I guess they've also called it a leakage study as well, that identifies how many State College area residents are not using the State College Regional Airport and are using other airports in our vicinity to catch the flights that they need to get to where they want to go. Anyway, they've assembled all of this data, and on the strength of that data that they have assembled, they have had renewed conversations with legacy airlines. So United, American, help me out.
Those are the big two.
Well, those are the big two, United, American, and there's another one, Delta. Thank you, thank you. That actually utilize and fly out of State College Area Regional. As a result of those conversations toward the end of last year, you may recall seeing recently there are going to be additional routes from American and United that are going to be added to the same destination. So additional slots, I should say, to the currently same destinations. So that data has proven to be very useful. Since that time, one of those legacy airlines has come back and is very interested in having a conversation around a destination, presumably to Charlotte. And this Fly State College Fund was initiated probably in the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2025. They have collected about $140,000. And these funds will basically be used as is customary in this business of attracting airlines to provide revenue guarantees for a very set period of time. So that is essentially how these funds that are being collected through the FlyStateCollege.com fund are being, or would be utilized. But we're being asked to actually make a contribution, in this case of $10,000, which would actually involve us writing a check and making that deposit to the Fly State College Fund. So those are the parameters. They're getting decent participation. They have had a number of private companies and other municipalities that have contributed. I don't have those specifics beyond the $140,000. So this is another topic for debate and potential action by College Township Council.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation,
Yeah.
the memo. So then I'll open up the discussions among council. Mr. Burnett?
Yeah, Mike, I think you attended the kickoff for this, same as I did. I didn't realize how complex the decision and evaluation process was with airlines, determining. And I also was impressed with the amount of data that is collected by their contractor, I think it's a contractor they use, to assess these habits. I didn't realize my credit card number, the credit card I use to purchase airfare could be so useful to those people collecting that data. But it was clear to me that if there were more options, those people driving would probably be using the State College Airport. So my only question is, if you take $140,000, you divide 25 into it, the average contribution's around $5,000. We're being asked for 10. Are all the municipalities being asked for 10, or?
I believe that has been kind of a target.
Okay.
But I have no idea what municipalities, I believe some have already contributed, but I do not know to what extent.
Having been to that kickoff, I see the value in being able to leverage more opportunities. I'm just trying to put a dollar figure on that value. So I support whatever we collectively think is an appropriate amount in that case.
Do you mind if I add to that
Oh,
too?
please.
Aside from just the conversations with those airlines about additional stops, is the ability to apply for a federal grant that is $750,000 and would need a $250,000 match. So the push right now, and the reason that they're coming back, basically asking to double what the contributions are, is to get to a $250,000 pot as soon as possible, so that when that funding source application period opens, they have the $250,000 match in order to apply for the additional $750,000.
Well,
Thank you.
I will say that I totally understand that math. I lived in that environment. Oh, we still do.
We still do.
No, it just sold me.
That was the question I was gonna ask, and it just got answered, so I'm good there.
Thank you for your comments. So the only thing that I'd like to bring up that came up is not necessarily related to this. I'll support this as part of the unanimous approach we typically take in College Township. However, I don't see similar requests being asked of us to develop rail transit. I know that you're our county representative to CEDACOG, Mrs. Knapp. And so, what other options are being brought forward as transportation expanders for this area? In particular, air service is important. It's important for business, and it's important for residents to be able to go on holidays, but that is an expensive travel option, and rail is not as expensive. So is this available to as many members of our community, and are there other opportunities? Those are comments that I would share that I would want to go back to CBICC, and also comments for you as our Director of Community and Economic Development, that, are we actively seeking other ways to increase transportation options for residents, particularly, lower cost options?
I might be able to offer something on
I
that.
would love that. I think that you have, CCNPO has a survey, doesn't it? I was hoping you might jump in.
But first, let me tell you, way back when we were trying to gather, the county pledged a big chunk of money to get to Charlotte.
True.
I was the one sitting here saying municipal government shouldn't be throwing money at these things. We should do what we do, infrastructure, build a road, put fiber out to there, whatever that. But I've come around to understanding now that what really gets these airlines here is not building a road to the airport or putting fiber in the ground. It's writing a check. So it goes against, I'm.
Train, yeah.
But as far as the train goes, the MPO applied for a supplemental planning grant and was successfully awarded the supplemental planning grant to study and make recommendations for the best way to connect with the closest Amtrak station. And that just made the local news because the project starts with a survey.
Right.
So we have, by virtue of our contribution to the NPO, and that money is being used as the local share match for that planning grant, we actually are doing something in the sense that we are trying very hard to determine what's the best way to make an economical and affordable connection with Amtrak in advance of the second trip being added to the Pennsylvanian in 2027. So some people are jumping ahead and thinking that, you know, we're going to build a rail connection spur, and we may end up there someday. But this is just a study to figure out what's the best way right now to connect people in the center region to the rail opportunities that are going to double here very soon, if that plan.
So it would be helpful for us to participate in that survey?
Yes,
And
actually.
maybe we could add that survey link to the website and maybe with a message to the public to participate in that?
I wholeheartedly support your comment about, you know, what else are we doing besides rail, because we're talking possibly a different demographic here
Right, right.
affected by that. But we are actually doing something.
That's great. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
That was.
Thanks for asking.
No, that's really, to me, it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's in keeping with our mission and what we want to do as a township to make this available to as many residents as possible for transportation. So, okay, this is an action item. Are there any other questions or comments? Staff? Anyone else? Okay. Then I would accept a motion for the council to approve the manager to execute an agreement to join the state college, the Fly State College Fund, and to make a contribution in the amount of $10,000.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed, same sign, please. Okay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Okay, we motioned that. The next item tonight is staff informatives. Our SI4, Eric had brought this up, the CBICC Legislative Breakfast. There's a date, and that's open for members to ask to attend, correct?
Correct.
Any questions? And then I also wanted to add here, I received an email, and I don't know if other members of council did that. There will be a PML district meeting Wednesday, the 11th of March in Johnstown from 11:30 to 1:30.
Yeah.
And there'll be the election of district reps. So I didn't know if anybody else got that email or if any of us wanted to attend that municipality, but let's bring that up.
I will say that the legislative breakfast upcoming will not be nearly as interesting as listening to the manager's update that was last
Yeah,
month.
I keep scheduling those things on one of my work days and my day job.
I have very little to do with
I
that.
know. So, all right, anything else? How about council, staff, other matters?
I have nothing to bring forward.
Okay, so I would entertain one more motion, please.
So moved to adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Well done, gang. Even though I